Hi, being returning officer for Maracha Electoral District. Pursuant to the parliamentary elections Act Chapter 177, declare Hon Acidri James duly nominated as a candidate to contest for election as Member of Parliament for Maracha East Constituency in Maracha District. Congratulations on your nomination.
Thank you.
And this is a copy of your nomination. Thank you. And also sign this for me, just to confirm your symbol here. This should be how you are. What they need to process the ballot paper. Two copies and sign both. Then we also had the harmonization of campaign programs on Saturday morning. We could appear in person, or you could have an your agent come with the program where we reconcile the dates for various candidates.
Well, first of all, I think, as you have correctly stated, this is my third attempt or shot at the position of Member of Parliament Maracha East, and I served 216, 221, I lost 221, 226, and I'm trying 226, 231. I feel there's a long way in terms of the campaigns, but not only the campaigns, the amount of work that we need to do in the constituency. You all know what the situation is here. Let me just start with some basic statistics. You may all be aware that based on the 2024 National Population and Housing Census, we have about 133,700 people in this constituency, with roughly 26,500 households. And these are all categorized as subsistence farmers, people who are not in the money economy. So that should be able to answer your question about what are my two priorities. And they frankly align with that of the president, the sitting president, who believes that development is a collective effort, but the issue of wealth creation and poverty eradication is very personal. It is household based. So for me, my priorities have been very consistent. How do we get our people out of subsistence economy into the money or cash economy? And you may all be aware that the main driver that we have identified in trying to transform our people from my side through agriculture is the promotion of cocoa as a cash crop. That should effectively replace tobacco, so that our people are able to have both predictable and sustainable income in the medium and long term. So that is a huge priority for me. How do we create wealth for our population? How do we ensure that our population moves from subsistence economy into cash economy? Of course, the other priority is that one of representation in Parliament. I believe since I left Parliament, Maracha East has really been lagging behind. You may all know about my record in Parliament, where we have frankly articulated issues, whether it is in terms of legislation, whether it is budgeting and oversight, or the other core functions like lobbying representation. These have all been issues that we have done quite well during the time I was in Parliament. In fact, what happens in Parliament, many people are not aware about some of the things that MPs do. Let me give you an example from a policy level. I can tell you, during my presence in the 10th Parliament, I was able to concretely influence government policy, especially that policy that impacts negatively on access to health, where private pharmacies operate profit-making businesses within government premises. And I thought raising that issue to the Prime Minister during the Prime Minister's question time was was not going to cause a significant change. But I can tell you that alone prompted the president to write a letter instructing the prime minister, who eventually instructed the national medical stores to review the position on why private pharmacies are operating in a government facility. This is just one of the classical examples of the sort of work that I hope will become part of my priority when we go to Parliament. I believe being in Parliament has its own different roles, and what we are trying to do within the constituency at household level is not only corporate responsibility, but it is a sign to show that these are your people and you are part of them. So how do we get rid of poverty? That is a priority.
Yes. Honorable, looking at your political journey, you first started as NRM and later on you shifted around 2017-18 to that sort of alliance with opposition, and later on in 2021 you contested as an independent. And how can you be able to satisfy and make a substantive statement to the people of Maracha East that if they give you that opportunity, you are not going to start moving like the way you move?
There's never been an alliance. I've never had an alliance with opposition. I've stood for the truth. If you follow my political journey in 2017, it is the people of Maracha who instructed me to clearly stand against the removal of Article 102B on the age limit. I consulted. When we were given funds, we used the funds. We never tried to save those funds for other purposes. And in the end, that was the people's position. That was not NRM position, it is the people's position. It's the people of Maracha who have the mandate, not NRM. So it was the people who instructed me clearly to state in Parliament that we should not touch Article 102B, which was concerning the age limit. So I've never had an alliance. I've always been independent. I've never joined another party. And for your record, if you go on the NRM register, you will find my name there because it has never been deleted. That is for a record. I speak based on record. I don't like rumors. Yes, I have never had any alliance with the opposition. I've always been independent. But because sometimes independent-minded people are not liked in a political party, especially like the National Resistance Movement, that is what comes out. So you don't need to try to state that I had an alliance with the opposition. I have always been independent. And in fact, I stood for the MP position on an independent ticket in 2021. Although people were trying to force the NUP on me. Now that NUP has its own candidates, I hope it is now clarified that Acidri is independent. And those opponents who have been forcing me to be NUP, they should now get some different evidence. Yeah.
Okay, lastly from me, how do you rate yourself amongst all these people with whom you are contesting?
I don't need to rate myself. It is going to be the voters who will rate us. But I do have a track record. I have a track record. At least I've impacted on lives. During the 5 years I was given as a member of Parliament, I've impacted on lives in this constituency. So that statement will be made by the electorate of Maracha East on the 15th of January 2026. I can't rate myself. It will be very unfair.